Welcome in, you guys. We got One Piece chapter 1118 here in front of us today. The full spoilers have just dropped and we are here to talk a little bit about it. Granted, this chapter only has 13 pages, so it's one of the shortest chapters out there, so there's not too much to talk about, but I do think it is interesting to touch on the Gorosei matchups and to talk a little bit about the Bonney situation now that we have more information. So yeah, with that being said, let's get this started. So, we come to find out in this chapter that the Gorosei are now after Lilith and Atlas, because those are the only two satellites left standing outside of York. So, kind of in a way, this is confirmation that Edison did indeed die last chapter. We saw him, he was kind of fizzing out a little bit. We saw the oil leaking from his head. He also took some damage from the Labo-Phase dome. So yeah, he was never slated to walk out of this A-OK. So now that the Gorosei are focusing in on Atlas and Lilith, it is up to the Straw Hats to defend them. Atlas is with the giant ship. Lilith is with Nami's group. Now that they have all 5 of the Gorosei after them, how are we going to fend ourselves from these monsters? Well, maybe I'm just a little bit too optimistic when it comes to this, but I think we will perform quite well. So the matchups we have right now are Jupiter, Warcutti, and Marcus Mars versus Luffy, Dory, Brogy, Sanji, Bonney, and Frankie. We got a stack lineup, you know, and the reason I think we will be fine is because Luffy has fought these guys before, right? You know, he fought Jupiter and Warcutti, but he hasn't fought Marcus Mars yet. But as far as this matchup goes, we saw that Luffy was able to stave off and run away from Saturn, Jupiter, and Warcutti before. So, you know, throwing Marcus Mars in there, I don't think is going to be too big of a mix-up for Luffy. And even then, we have more people on our side. You gotta remember, that was Luffy, Dory, and Brogy. We now have Bonney, who's in Gear 5th form. We got Sanji, Frankie, and we also have Oimo, Kashi, and the rest of the Giants behind us. Like, we are looking pretty damn good right now. So I think we will get out of this pretty okay. What's exciting to me about this matchup, though, is that I really want to see how far the Gorosei will chase the Straw Hats. Because we get context in this chapter that Luffy and the Giants have actually set sail. You know, they are leaving the island as we're talking right now. So I want to see if they're going to like chase them into the water. I want to see if Marcus Mars will keep on flying circles above them until we defeat him. Like, I really want to see how that pans out. And I think Jupiter is going to be very notable here because I was thinking about Jupiter and what he's capable of in his monster form. And so far, Jupiter has been really good at sucking things in. Right, he tried to suck in Luffy, he swallowed a building, he swallowed Cyberpol agents, and when you think about Jupiter, it makes a lot of sense as to why he's going to this area. Because he might just be able to suck the ship backwards, right? It's this giant wind vortex that he's creating with his mouth. It's like, yo, like, just because Luffy and the gang have set sail, doesn't mean that we're exactly safe yet. Because Jupiter can easily just bring us back. So yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we will have to not defeat the Gorosei here, but we're going to have to at least knock them back a good amount. And the hardest character to knock back would be Warcutti, right? Jupiter, we've done it before. Marcus Mars is a giant bird, right? I mean, Sanji can fly up there. Luffy can fly. I mean, yeah, I'm not super afraid of Marcus Mars. I'm excited to see how he's going to perform because we haven't seen Marcus Mars in a fight yet. You know, all the other Gorosei have fought people already, or at least clashed, but Marcus Mars, he's been going around destroying buildings, so I want to see how he's going to fare against Luffy. But as far as Warcutti goes, he might be the hardest one to actually get off of our tail. Yes, he's kind of stuck on the ground, you know, he can't fly, he can't swim, and he can't suck us backwards, but I do think Warcutti will be a pain to deal with, because the previous times Luffy has fought him, things haven't exactly gone that swell. Luffy has slapped him with Red Rock, he slapped him in Gear 5th, and time again, it just hasn't worked. So it really makes me wonder if Luffy will be able to actually land a significant blow on him. People have been saying that Luffy hasn't been coding himself in Conqueror's Haki, he hasn't been using Ryuo, and maybe this is where Luffy finally takes Warcutti seriously and, you know, puts in his full effort into getting this man off of their tail. I think that could be pretty fun, and now that we have Bonney here as a second Sun God Nika, I do believe we're going to perform pretty well. As far as Bonney goes, though, this is a hot topic of debate, right? So personally, you know, I don't want to be like a broken wheel, but I think it's fine. You know, personally, I am a big fan of this plot point. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's been foreshadowed for a while now. it's been foreshadowed since like volume 91. So, you know, coming into this chapter, seeing that Bonney is able to do this and turn into Sun God Nika, I think it's pretty fair. And here's the thing too. Even though Bonney is in Sun God Nika mode, she's not going to be as strong as Luffy. Yeah, she can mimic his attacks, but she doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. She doesn't have the coding. She didn't go to Wano and learn about Ryuo. You know, like, we haven't even seen Bonney with a blackened fist yet. So there's a lot of things in my mind that still hold her back. And I do love the dynamic that Luffy and Bonney have right here. It's like a big brother and little brother, right? Luffy's like, hey, Bonney, I don't know how your powers work, but try this, you know, like, you can do it. And then even back in the past, when Luffy turned into Gear 5th form, Bonney was like, hey, Luffy, teach me how to throw a punch. And then Luffy said, oh, this is how you do it, right? And then he walloped Saturn. Like, I think this is a really fun dynamic that we haven't really seen from Luffy before, right? Whenever Luffy meets a kid character, he never teaches them how to fight, right? Like, the craziest we got was Kobe. And even then, you know, Kobe back in the East Blue didn't really do too much. So seeing Luffy here acting as a mentor is really nice. And I think these powers really fit Bonney too, because she is a kid. She is a 12-year-old girl. You know, being Sun God Nika, it's all about utilizing your imagination. And I think Bonney will be king when it comes to that, or queen. You know, it's kind of weird, right? King, queen, whatever. But yeah, I think Bonnie's gonna be great. But she will be heavily nerfed because she doesn't have the hockey mastery that Luffy has. And even then, I'm curious to see how far Oda will take Bonney being in Gear 5th. Will she be able to last in this form for a long time? Will it have a time limit? Because back in the past, whenever Bonney has used Distorted Future, it hasn't lasted that long. You know, she used it on Luffy, Jinbei, and Chopper, and then after a page, they turned back to normal. Bonney used a Gear 3rd punch in the flashback, a Gear 3rd punch on Saturn. It lasted a page, and then it was gone. You know, so who's to say that this Gear 5th form doesn't run out even faster than Luffy's real Gear 5th form? So yeah, I think there's a lot of caveats when it comes to this power. And like I said, you know, she's still learning the ropes. She can only really throw a giant pistol, right? You know, she's thrown a giant pistol. She's tried to step on people before. So I doubt she's going to be over here, you know, using a red rock or any absurd ability like that. I feel like she still has a long way to go. And what I think is cool about this is that Luffy can teach her every step of the way. Another thing I'm curious about when it comes to Bonnie's powers is I wonder if she'll be able to fully utilize the cartoon aspects of it, right? Because Luffy has the whole things where his eyes pop out, you know, he's over here hitting people into the nth dimension. Will Bonney be able to do that? I think she could. I mean, she has the form, right? Like in this chapter, let me see what it says. I'm gonna read it verbatim. Bonnie's transformation is exactly the same as Luffy's. White clouds floating around the neck, white curly hair, white clothes, and eyes with ring-like pupils. Yeah, I feel like she should be able to have all the powers that Luffy has, just minus the hockey. So yeah, this might be pretty broken. But I think that's what's exciting about it. You know, I want to see how Bonney performs. I do want to see what Warkody, Mars, and Jupiter are going to say about this, right? One Sun God Nika is bad enough. Two? Brother, two? You know what I mean? And then even then, man, Saturn, damn. Dude, the minute I get back home to Marie Joie, I'd be making fun of Saturn, dude. I'd probably kick him out of the Gorosei. Like, you know, it's one thing to have the message go out and have Egghead Island turn into a giant disaster, but it's another thing to say you are responsible for creating a power that can mimic that of Sun God Nika, right? Like, Saturn, man. Hey, maybe Saturn goes back to the drawing board. Maybe he cooks up more people like Bonney after he sees this. I think the Saturn aspect of this could be pretty fun. And speaking of Saturn, though, you know, switching battlefronts for a minute, Saturn and Venus are not mentioned in this chapter. And that is most likely because they are going after Lilith, who is on the Labo phase. Well, okay, for sure we know Venus is going after them because Venus is fighting Zoro and Jinbei, which we don't see in this chapter, which I think is kind of disappointing. You know, I wish we got some insight as to how that's going down. This is a really short chapter. Like I said, there's only 13 pages. So, we could have thrown in one more page with Zoro, Jinbei, and Venus. I think that would have been fine. But, you know, low bait for me to say that, right? You know, Oda's kind of hiding that one on the side for now. But yeah, I believe that Saturn, the reason why we didn't see him here is because he's going back up to fight Nami's group one more time, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. Imagine Saturn's journey, right? Saturn started on the Fabrio phase when this all started. He ended up going all the way up to the Labo phase. He fought the Straw Hats there. He fought Lilith. Lilith was shooting the gun at him. He fought them, but he couldn't fight them all the way right there because he was trying to stop the message. He blows past them. He starts destroying snails in the Mother Flame room. And then guess what? They found out that the snail is downstairs. It's with the ancient robot. So he goes all the way downstairs. And then what? He doesn't do anything. He doesn't fight the ancient robot. He simply looks while Warcudi takes him down. And then they're like, hey guys, time to take out the satellites. And then he goes all the way back upstairs again to fight Nami's group one more time. Dude, Saturn, man, he's the whipping boy. He is the whipping boy of the Gorosei. As much as I make fun of Saturn, I feel bad for him, man. Like, I feel like this man's been put through the ringer. And if Egghead Island turns out badly for the world government, I feel like they're going to blame this man. You know, he's trying his best, dude. He's trying his best. But yeah, it does look like Saturn, if I had to guess where he's going, he is going to fight Nami's group one last time. And as far as how that's going to go down, I don't know. Saturn's another weird one, right? I think that if we were to have like a full-on fight, we wouldn't win because we don't know how to hurt him. But as far as the Straw Hats go, their goal is to get off of the island. Luffy's gang is already setting sail on the giant ship. All we're missing is Nami's group, Kude bursting off, which they are going to. Zoro and Jinbei, well, mainly Zoro told them to leave. So there's a good chance that if Saturn shows up, Nami and the gang are going to Kude burst and get the hell out of there. So will Saturn be able to stop that? Will Saturn use some spider webs and catch them in the air? Not super sure. I think that would be kind of cool though. Like imagine Saturn just creates a spider web, you know, the Thousand Sun, he can't get past it. And then Zoro, like he promised, he shows back up and then he cuts the spider web. I think that'd be awesome. Of course, that is headcanon, but that's me trying to figure out a way for Saturn to have a one-up on him. Just like how I mentioned how Jupiter could potentially suck them backwards, maybe Saturn does something with his spider webs, which we haven't seen yet. We don't know how Saturn's eye powers work. We don't know if Saturn has actual spider webs, but if he did have them, wouldn't be super crazy, right? I mean, the guy's like a spider bull demon. So yeah, that's how things are looking right now. I think this is gearing up to be a great chapter. Like I said, I really do enjoy the plot developments. You know, some people called me an Ode Angel for liking it, but it's like, brother, we just have differing opinions, right? If you hate the Bonney thing, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not here to change that mindset, but I do enjoy it. You know, like I enjoyed it when Naruto gave people the Nine-Tailed Cloak. You know, I enjoy it when other characters get power-ups. I hate it when the main character is so absurdly powerful that no one else can scratch their surface. And I hate it when main characters are one-dimensional. Seeing Luffy in a different light, seeing characters also grow with Luffy, I think is a win. You know, just straight up, I think that's a big win. And we don't have that many strong female characters in the series. Like we have like Big Mom, but she's kind of out of the picture. We got Boa Hancock, but she got one shot by Blackbeard. We have Yamato, but we left her in Wano. You know, like so seeing another strong female pop up like Bonney, I think it's great. But granted, you know, she's a kid, but that's even better because she has room to grow. You know, just imagine Bonney in 20 years, bro. You know, Shanks was the cabin boy for Roger. Look at Shanks now, brother. You know, Bonney, give her 20 years. God dang, she is going to be powerful. Especially if she carries on Luffy's legacy or his image or his son God Nika abilities. Damn, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, overall, great chapter. My only gripes about it would be reaction piece. I'm a big reaction piece fan. But this time around, we didn't get a Don Krieg. We didn't get a Damara Black. We didn't even get a, what's that loser from Mocktown? We didn't get a Roshio. You know, we just got the basic people. We got Koza, Toto. We got Miss Monday, Mr. Nine. Like we didn't get any goofy characters this time around. So that's the one downside. And we got Leo. I don't like Tontadas. You guys know me. I don't like robots. I don't like giants. I put short people on that list as well. I don't like Leo. Anything under like 4 feet, no, dude, I'm not messing with it. So yeah. Overall, though, like I said, pretty decent chapter. For 13 pages, I think it has more hits than misses. And last thing about Bonney, though, but I really do like how Luffy not only encouraged her to turn into Gear 5th, but Bonney didn't say that she wanted a Nika-like future. Because that was the thing back in the past, right? Whenever Bonney was attacking Alpha, I think, what's her name, Alpha? Alpha from CP9, whatever, back in the flashback. When she attacked her, whoever she is, she said, give me a Nika-like future. In this chapter, though, she says, distortion future, watashi ga ichiban jiu mirai. which is the future where I am most free. The number one free future. And I thought that was sick, you know, because that's what Sun God Nika is all about. Sun God Nika is all about freedom, which ties into the title of this chapter. And it also ties into what Otis said Bonney's flower would be in an SPS. He said she would be a Freesia. So, you know, Bonney being free makes a lot of sense, man. You know, it's a little bit of foreshadowing right there. So this isn't like a last minute, last ditch thing that Oda just came up with in the middle of the night. No, this has been cooking for a while now. And I am a fan of it. I really am. And all I'm wondering now is how the design looks, because, hey, Luffy's design in Gear 5th, I'm a big fan of it. You know, I'm holding Bonney to that standard as well. You know, I gotta see the panels, I gotta see what Bonney looks like, and then that is when we will make all of these decisions. But with that being said, let me know what you guys thought about this chapter down below. What do you think about the full spoilers? Did it make it better? Did it make it worse? How do you feel about Bonney? I'm telling you guys, this is a hot topic. You know, the last couple of videos, the views or whatever, right? But in terms of comments, I'm not joking, the most amount of comments I've ever seen. Just people debating left and right about the Bonney thing. And the ancient robot, because, you know, you guys know how I am about the robot. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts down below, and I will catch you guys when the chapter releases. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.